I want a God that can create me into a piece of perfection. Now, naturally, I'm being facetious. There is one God and one power and one presence in the universe. That God is the creator of all that is. That God created you. Now, if you want to consider yourself average, that's up to you. But the bottom line is, the fact of the matter is that you are perfect. You're one of a kind. You're an original. And until you start looking for that perfection, you're never going to find it. And it's only in that perfection that you're going to find greater degrees of happiness, you're going to find greater degrees of harmony, you're going to find greater depths of love in your relationships. Your entire life is going to change as soon as you quit accepting an average life because you think you're an average person. See, once again, the people in human research have discovered a word they call entelechy, E-N-T-E-L-E-C-H-Y, entelechy. It's a very simple word. Quite simply, it means that is your unique and individual nature. Now, there's a nature to the universe. The nature of the universe is unchangeable. It's immutable. It is put in place by this God power, this God spirit, and it hasn't changed for 14 billion years. There are spiritual laws that exist, and they continue. It's the nature of the universe. Well, each of us has a nature as well. As a matter of fact, we have two natures. We have a human nature that we share. There's a commonality in our human nature. We all fear for our survival. We all need to eat, drink, and sleep. We all have a need for love and a need to share love and to receive love. We all have these common needs. We need to breathe the air. We need to feel like we have a place here on earth, like there's a purpose to our existence. Common nature for all human beings. But then we also have the specific nature. It's our entelechy. Now, the entelechy of an acorn is to become an oak tree, of specific design, of a specific shape, and leaves, branches, everything, all in that spiritual design. The entelechy of a caterpillar is to become a butterfly of particular design and shape and color and form. And it's all in that spiritual design. It's unique and it's specific to each thing. So when it comes to us, our entelechy is to be exclusively you, nobody else. It's to be you. It's your spiritual blueprint. It's what you're meant to be. It has your likes and it has your dislikes. It has your comforts and your discomforts. It has how you want to approach life and how you think you should approach life. It has all those things within you. But when we're led away from our entelechy, when we're led away from our specific nature, we find ourselves out here in the world trying to please everybody and trying to do what we're supposed to do, and we lose our sense of nature. Now, that's very, very important, because if we're going to tune ourselves to the nature of the universe and live in harmony with it all, the only way we can do that is through our unique and specific nature. We have to attune ourselves to our unique and specific nature in order to harmonize with the nature of the universe. And that's what this whole series is all about. Let's move through all of the things that are stopping us from truly enjoying life and truly being in harmony with it all. Discover that perfection within us that is us, that is like anybody else, and allow ourselves to come from that space. And we find when we do that, we give ourselves a break and we just accept ourselves the way we are, because it is perfection. We begin to accept everybody else the way they are. No matter what kind of a disguise they might be wearing, we accept them because that is their perfection on this path going forward. You know, there's a time in the Gospels when Jesus and the disciples were sitting around and they're watching some young kids play. And the disciples said, "Look at those kids. I mean, they're not bothered by anything. They're not carrying a lot of stress or a lot of worry or a lot of anxiety. They're just out there playing. They're being free. They don't care about tomorrow. They don't care about what happened yesterday. They're just there. They are free." And Jesus says, yes, they're very serene. They're very serene. So the disciples say, well, how can we become that way? How can I get that serenity that that young child has without all that heavy weight on top of me? And Jesus says, take off your clothing. Take off all the clothing that you've layered on over and over and over again from the earliest age to yesterday. all this stuff that says I have to be, all this stuff that says if I'm not, they won't like me, all this stuff that says I was taught how to do this. Take off all that clothing and become like a little child. Now think about that for a minute. How would it be if we could become like a little child, yet we had the intelligence and we had the functions and we had the capabilities that we do today? But our mindset was that of a little child, free, unconcerned about whether somebody's going to like us or not, unconcerned about whether somebody's going to criticize us or not, unconcerned about whether we get a C or an A on a test. We're just free to live, to be, to express ourselves. So the first question is, what do you know for sure? The answer to that is that within there, underneath the layers, there is the real you, there is the specific nature of you waiting to be expressed like it once was. The second question is, how much faith do you have in your God? Now that's a big question, because as we start to move into finding out more of what we are and more of how we can be, there's a certain fear that comes up. What if I find something I don't like? What if it's not there? What if everybody else finds it? I come to church one morning, everybody is glowing and shining, and I'm still surrounded with all these cloaks because I just couldn't find that seed of perfection within me. How much faith do you have in your God? You have faith in the orderly procession of days and nights. Anybody here worried the sun won't come up tomorrow? You have faith in the orbit of the planets. Millions of planets spinning through space, millions of miles an hour. Is anybody here afraid that one might collide? Or how about the law of gravity? How big's your faith in the law of gravity? Does anybody here fear that they might lose their sense of gravity and float off into space? No. So we have 100 unadulterated faith in God for that. How about your faith in yourself? How much faith do you have in God that you were created perfect, just the way you are? We have faith in all these other things. How about that? We have faith that a butterfly is perfect. We have faith that an eagle is perfect. We have faith that a gazelle running through a field is perfect. But when it comes to us, we find all these imperfections. So as we ask ourselves these questions, the answers are going to come up and they're going to seem foolish at first, because no, I am not perfect is the first answer. Well, why not? If I'm one of a kind, if I'm an original, if nobody else is like me, there's nobody else to compare me to, I have to be perfect. But that is a very, very difficult thing to accept. Many of us were taught it's conceited. It's stuck up. There was even a school in California that banned a class on self-confidence because it said the students were feeling too good about themselves. Well, it isn't conceited and it isn't proud to say that you are perfect. You're a perfect creation of a perfect God. And we're not comparing that. Once again, there's no comparison there. You can't say, I am perfect, yet my wife seems to have some things she has to work through until she gets to my level. Thank God she's not here. But you get what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying. There's so much life left for us. There's so many things that we can do, so much happiness that we can experience just in being who we are. It's just a matter of saying, okay, today I'm going to start to take off some of this stuff that bothers me, that hampers my peace of mind, that diminishes my happiness. I'm going to take it off and I'm going to boldly step out and begin to explore in a spiritual way what's going on inside me, and I am going to end up and be attuned with that specific nature of mine. That's the way we're meant to be. In essence, it's just going back home. We came from there. We were happy. We were one with the universe. And we've gone out on this wonderful journey, explored all sorts of different things, entered into all sorts of different psychological maladies, and now we're coming out of the smoke, and we're going back home to be who we are and to live the life that's meant for you. We'll now pause for meditation.